Now it's time to delve into the early history of Tibet, a history in which Buddhism plays a very significant role. Our exploration of Tibet's history begins nearly 1500 years ago with Songtsen Gampo. Most Tibetans believe and agree that Tibet began with Songtsen Gampo, the individual responsible for consolidating power at the Yarlung River, which flows east and west just south of Lhasa, the city that would become the capital. After defeating nearby clans, Songtsen Gampo began to extend the reach of the newly forming Tibetan Empire. He first marched west and defeated the kingdom of Zhangzhuang, before setting his sights on the Aja kingdom to the east, known in Chinese as the Tuyuhun, which is located in present-day Qinghai province. He then eyed the Tang dynasty's capital in Chang'an, or modern-day Xi'an, though Songtsen Gampo demanded a Chinese bride to secure diplomatic relations with the Tang. Although the Tang emperor refused at first, he eventually sent his niece, some say his daughter, as a bride, Princess Wencheng, or Wencheng Gongzhu, in an arrangement known as a marriage alliance, or a heqin. I'm hitting you with a why does it matter early on this lecture. So, why does any of this really matter? The marriage between Songtsen Gampo brings into clear focus how the same historical event can be interpreted by two sides to serve their own political ends. For Tibetans today, as well as most serious scholars, the marriage between Songtsen Gampo and Princess Wencheng provides overwhelming evidence that the Tang did not see the Tibetan Empire as a subordinate, but rather as an equal. Faced with almost certain defeat, the Tang Emperor's decision to satisfy Songtsen Gampo's request may even suggest he believed the Tibetan Empire to be superior, at least militarily, to the Tang. Unsurprisingly, the Chinese government interprets this episode in history much differently. For the Chinese Communist Party today, as well as those scholars and politicians who argue that Tibet has always been a, quote, part of China, the marriage between Songtsen Gampo and Princess Wencheng marks, symbolizes, and celebrates intimate ties between the two lands, cultures, and peoples. In fact, the marriage provides the first instance of Chinese civilizing Tibet. When we look at the Tang Annals, or the Jiutang Shu, it writes, as the princes disliked their custom of painting their faces red, Songtsen Gampo ordered his people to put a stop to the practice, and it was no longer done. He also gradually copied Chinese civilization. We'll be looking a lot at primary sources in this course. And in the event that you aren't familiar with looking at primary sources, this paper acronym provides a pretty solid foundation for ways to approach these types of materials. So the paper acronym represents purpose, argument and strategy, presuppositions and values, epistemology, and then relate them to other texts. So for the purpose, you want to identify the author and try to predict what was at stake for the author. In other words, why did he or she write it? Also, even though these aren't essays, you also want to try to find a thesis in each primary source. For argument and strategy, look at the composition and organization of the piece. How is the argument developed? Who is the intended audience? For presuppositions and values, you want to weigh their values with our values, keeping in mind that they're probably not the same. Epistemology refers to the study of truth or knowledge, and we want to compare our secondary sources and try to evaluate whether secondary sources support or refute the primary sources. And of course, you always want to relate these texts to each other. Are there repeated ideas, recurring themes, etc.? Regardless of interpretation, Princess Wencheng provided Tibet with one of its most sacred and venerated relics, the Drobal statue of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, which is believed to have been blessed by Buddha himself. The statue was first placed in a temple constructed in Wencheng's honor, the Ronmote, but was later hidden in the Zhoukang, a temple originally built for Songtsen Gampo's Nepalese bride, in order to protect it from an impending invasion from the Tang Dynasty. Today, the Jowo statue, or Jowo Rinpoche, is housed in a chapel of the Zhoukang. It attracts thousands of pilgrims and tourists on regular days. Auspicious days and holidays attract even more faithful. I've uploaded the link to the video of the Zhoukang that we viewed together in week 1. You may have heard or read that on February 17th, 2018, which was one of the last days of Losar, or Tibetan New Year, a fire blazed through the chapel housing the Jowo statue. Although the damage was extensive, Chinese official news outlets, including Xinhua, reported that there were no deaths, injuries, nor were any cultural relics destroyed. Okay, but back to Songtsen Gampo. We started our study of Tibetan history with this individual because many Tibetans view him as the cohesive agent that begins to bind Tibet. Some of his accomplishments are still felt today. He moved the capital to Lhasa and began devising a standard script. Although many historians question Songtsen Gampo's personal convictions, he is credited with introducing and institutionalizing Buddhism in the region. History has memorialized Songtsen Gampo as an incarnation of Avalokiteshvara, the perfect realization of compassion. Place his name in your database for now. Perhaps most importantly, Songtsen Gampo's story, or better yet, mythology, provides a coherent origin that roots Tibetans today to a common political, cultural, and religious history.